Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Multiverse Matchups. We got an exciting one, a good one, probably the closest one yet. We have Namor versus Aquaman, pretty much the same character in each respective universe. Namor is Marvel, Aquaman is DC. They're both, I believe, they're both Atlanteans, and it's pretty much Marvel's take on it versus DC's take on it. I do believe Namor was featured in the Marvel's first comic book, was featured Namor, Human Torch, and Angel, which is people know from I believe in the X-Men. But I know Human Torch and Namor are in there, so they are the first superheroes for Marvel to come out. So technically Marvel did it first, but let's go straight into it. Let's break down Namor. Height 6'2", weighing in a whopping 278. Power type Atlantean/mutant hybrid. So he is half Atlantean and half human. Affiliation Atlantis. He has fought in the Avengers, X-Men, Defenders, Invaders, Illuminati, and Cabal. Let's go. I am going to start adding like a little origin story because some of these characters y'all might not know, or some people might not know some of these characters. So I'll just give a little origin story, back history. Namor is a son of a human sea captain and Atlantean princess, making him the first known mutant hybrid in Marvel history. Gifted with immense strength, underwater adaptability, and the ability to fly via his ankle wings, Namor rose to become king of Atlantis. Known for his volatile temper and pride, he has been both a hero and an antagonist, is what we call an anti-hero. Allying with teams like the Avengers, Defenders, X-Men, while also leading Atlantis against the surface world in numerous wars. Grading out of 100. Strength 90 out of 100. Speed 80. Agility 80. Durability 90. Stamina 95. Healing factor 20. Normal human level recovering outside of the Atlantean resilience. So that is a thing to keep in mind. Longevity 95. Combat 90. Intelligence 85. Overall score 85. Which, yeah, that longevity is a lot higher than most people expect. Atlanteans lives for hundreds of years, centuries. Unique and notable powers and abilities. Atlantean physiology, immense underwater strength and endurance, winged flight, obviously the wings on his ankles, marine adaptation, underwater combat is absolutely phenomenal. Royal authority, so he can command armies and things like that of Atlantean soldiers. Mutant hybrid edge, so because of his hybrid genetics, he's stronger than most Atlanteans, so he gets an advantage being mixed with humans somehow, but that's just how it is. And telepathic connection, very limited. He's able to communicate with sea life, but it's very limited, close range, usually small or medium-sized creatures and things like that in close proximity. Some strong feats. He's fought Hulk underwater, holding his own against the Hulk, obviously underwater in his domain where he's significantly stronger. One thing I do want to talk about is Namor is stronger underwater than he is on land. So when he's on land, he's not as strong. When he's underwater, he is at max power, or he is stronger. That's going to be something to note, keep in your back pocket. He's battled Thor to a standstill, which showcases God's tier strength. Obviously, we know Thor is absolutely powerful. Namor has battled him to a standstill before. Destroyed Wakanda's capital city by flooding it. We kind of saw that in the Black Panther 2 movie. That happens in the comics. He's defeated the Thing multiple times, which we all know the Thing is a giant rock, is full of a lot of power, just raw power and strength, and withstood nuclear level explosions and continue to fight. That, again, attests to his durability and stamina and his ability to take damage as well as keep fighting. His tier placement, his standard feats is going to be country/continental level. When he's underwater strength scaling, he's planetary. So on land, he's country level. I'd probably go country. I wouldn't even go continental. On land, he's country level in terms of power, but country kind of in the same tier, but it's lower, tier 3. Underwater, we're talking planetary devastation. And for those of y'all that are my anime fans, or the anime fans out there, y'all know what I'm talking about. Planetary devastation when he's underwater. His power scales higher when he's underwater. So that puts him at that planetary range, extremely strong with sheer raw strength. Very powerful. Now, moving on to Aquaman, Mr. Arthur Curry. 6'1", 235. Again, power type, Atlantean hybrid. Affiliations, Justice League, Atlantis, Aqua Family, etc. Origin story. Arthur Curry is the son of Atlanta, Queen of Atlantis, and Tom Curry, a human lighthouse keeper. Born a hybrid, he inherited the powers of both worlds, superhuman strength, underwater adaptation, and the ability to command sea life. After years of being an outcast from both surface dwellers and Atlanteans, he embraces destiny as Aquaman, protector of the oceans, and king of Atlantis, wielding the mystical trident of Poseidon, and both weapon and the symbol of his rule. That Poseidon, that trident of Poseidon is going to be a very key factor. Hold on that, put it in your back pocket. Grading out of 100, strength 90, speed 80, agility, flexibility 75, durability 90, stamina 95, healing factor 20, longevity 90, combat 90, intelligence 85, overall grade 84. The only difference is that Aquaman has a slight edge in flexibility and agility, even though they're both graded high. Unique / notable powers and abilities. Atlantean physiology, super strength, speed, endurance, all that good stuff. On water and on land. I do want to point that out. Aquaman isn't stronger or weaker in regards to the environment. So Namor, when he's in water, he becomes stronger. He's at his strongest underwater. Aquaman is just as strong underwater as he is on land. So there is no power scaling, which obviously is a double-edged sword. Underwater, he's still just as strong. When he goes on land, he's not any weaker. That's the big difference between Namor and Aquaman in terms of being on land, being underwater. Marine telepathy. Commands and communicates with sea life from fish to kaiju level beings. So unlike Namor, where his is very limited, it's usually maybe a few sharks and it's within close range. Aquaman can summon very large kaiju. Kaiju are just large behemoth creatures, maybe even monsters, some would say. He can call forth giant schools of sharks, fish, whales from far distances. It's not limited. It's very, very large scale with his telepathy. So that is an advantage that Aquaman is going to have. Trident of Poseidon, obviously, nearly indestructible weapon, channels mystical energy, pierces even god tier beings. So it's basically a god level weapon. It can pierce Superman. It can pierce other gods. It's indestructible, limitless power. Trident of Poseidon. Underwater adaptation, thrives under immense pressure, extreme depths, etc., etc. And he's also becomes king, all of that good stuff. So he can command an army just like Namor does. Not top five, but 5 notable feats. He's fought Wonder Woman to a standstill, which Wonder Woman is in the same tier strength of Superman. So even though sometimes people on TV or even like the animated series wasn't too bad, but some people think of Aquaman and think that he's like Aquaman's useless if he's not in the water. Aquaman can still go toe to toe with Superman at times, and he's fought Wonder Woman to standstills. So you're still talking about an absolute monster of a unit, regardless of water on land. Remember, unlike Namor, he doesn't get weaker on land. He's still just as strong. So the stuff he's doing underwater, that's crazy. He's still has that same level of strength on land. And that's what's a little bit different. So he's still got crazy power. He's crazy strong. Lifted and stabilized tectonic plates, preventing catastrophic earthquakes. He summoned the Kraken, which is this giant monster kaiju. Kraken is monstrous. He summoned that. Again, that's to kind of show he can summon these gigantic monstrous creatures. Namor cannot. He's pierced Darkseid's Parademon's armor. Again, we're talking armor that's god level, and he's pierced it with his trident to show how strong of a weapon this thing is. And he's defeated Ocean Master and Black Manta, 2 of the deadliest warriors, and he's done it multiple times because Aquaman is a unit. So, standard Atlantean strength, again, country slash continental, I'm gonna give him upper tier 4 because his strength is on in the same tier as Superman's strength. He's not as strong as Superman, or he's not stronger than Superman. But if you view the tiers of range, he's in that same tier of strength as Superman. A lot of Superman feats Aquaman can do as well. Not all of them, but he's on that same level to where in certain situations, he has fought Superman to a standstill. He has fought Wonder Woman, who is also a god, to a standstill. With Poseidon's trident and Kraken summoning, he's placed in planetary, very similar to Namor. Because with that trident, it's like having this immense mystical weapon on your side when you're Superman level strength or Superman tier strength. Real quick, before we get into the matchup battle-wise, I do want to take some time to talk about the difference of Namor's trident from Aquaman's trident. Obviously, I'm clipping this in because I forgot to talk about it in my notes. I forgot to talk about it. There is a key difference between trident of Poseidon and trident of Neptune. So that's going to, because I know in the breakdown I talk a lot about Aquaman's trident. I don't really say much about Namor, even though they both have tridents. The reason for that, there's a key difference. So real quick, I want to talk about those two because they're pretty much a determining factor for the matchups. So Namor's trident, which he's wielded several weapons, but obviously the trident is the most predominant of that. And it's called the Trident of Neptune for Namor. In the Marvel Universe, the Trident of Neptune, which helps him, grants him with like water manipulation and things like that, control over sea creatures. It's powerful, but it comes from Atlantean royal tech or like magic enhanced gear. So it's like a standard weapon for Atlanteans. So other Atlanteans also fight with a trident type of thing, a type of power. I don't know if they're necessarily called the Trident of Poseidon. I think that might be like the upper echelon of the tridents. But it's more of just like Atlantean tech or enhanced gear that is not just exclusive to Namor. With Aquaman, the Trident of Poseidon, this was forged by Poseidon itself. So the Trident of Neptune, which is named after Neptune, but it was made by Atlanteans. It's like advanced gear that they made. The Trident of Poseidon is made by the god Poseidon. So it is a god level, or it's a god weapon, a weapon created from one of the gods, by one of the Olympian gods at that. It's indestructible, obviously energy projecting, can pierce divine or immortal beings. The Trident of Neptune doesn't have that level. It's just like an advanced spear. It's like a spear being made by Tony Stark, essentially. Versus Aquaman, it is powerful enough to pierce Wonder Woman, who is a demigod, to pierce Superman, who is a god level strength and god tier. It can pierce divine, obviously, dark side and other gods. It could pierce other Olympian gods because it is literally forged by Poseidon. So we're talking about god level tier. It can full control of the seas with it, and it's more than a weapon. It is a divine symbol of kingship and things like that. So when we're comparing the tridents, Namor's trident is more like just a standard weapon. The trident that Aquaman uses is a distinct key figure or key factor or a key, artifact within the DC universe itself. So that's why there's a huge difference between that. Because in some of the scenarios I talk about matchup between Namor and Aquaman bare hands, and then Namor and Aquaman with the trident. Even with, if you go trident for trident, it's basically not even the same comparison when you're talking about the tridents. So I do want to throw that caveat in there because as I thought about it, I was thinking, people would think, well, what about Namor's trident? If they both had tridents, who would win? That's irrelevant. That trident is not even on the same level or same tier as the trident of Poseidon because it is a literal weapon forged by the Olympian god Poseidon. So just wanted to throw that in there, clip that in here because I forgot to mention that before I got into the battles. But enjoy the rest of the pod, the rest of the show. Get back to the breakdown of the matchups. So now it's time for the breakdown of who's taking this bad boy home. And I've sat here and I've really contemplated all the different scenarios in which who wins, who doesn't. And I'm gonna be honest, this is pretty much a dead even draw. For in general, it's pretty even. They're pretty much on the same pretty much on the same level. Aquaman has fought Superman, who is considered one of the strongest in DC. Namor has fought Thor, which is considered one of the strongest in Marvel. So you've gotten two feats that show that their strength is on par with characters that are just known for their brute strength. Now, let's get into some nuanced scenarios. If they're fighting on land, just straight up fight on land, Aquaman has the heavier edge. Because Namor's strength gets scaled down, Aquaman doesn't. So Aquaman has a clear advantage. Because remember, Namor was only able to beat Hulk to fight Hulk to a standstill, hold his own. I don't know if he necessarily beat Hulk. I believe he held his own against the Hulk because they were in water. They were in the ocean. It wasn't on land. If it was on land, it'd be a different story. Aquaman still has the level of strength Namor has in water. Aquaman has that in water and on land. So on land, Aquaman gets the edge. I think Aquaman wins 7 times out of 10 on land, in my personal opinion. Now, underwater, there's a few scenarios. If you go underwater, no summonings, no trident, just straight fighting underwater, Namor wins that. Namor wins that 7 times out of 10. Namor's winning that more times than not. If it's no trident, no crazy summonings, it's just hand-to-hand combat underwater, Namor's getting the dub. Now, if you give Aquaman as king, let's say they're both kings, and Aquaman has his trident, because that is his primary weapon. So it's not too much of a boost to give him the trident, because in most scenarios, he has the trident as his combat weapon. It's kind of like, Deadpool with his swords. It's kind of his go-to weapon. That's his main weapon. Aquaman, again, he has this trident. If we go Aquaman with trident, Namor's not winning. Aquaman with the summoning, Namor's not winning. Let's negate the calling upon the army, right? They both are kings. They both can summon Atlantean soldiers. Let's count that as a wash, because it's Atlantis in 2 different universes. So let's count that as a wash. Let's just look at Aquaman, Namor, trident. Aquaman got it. Now, if we go no trident and summoning, Aquaman's winning that because Namor can only summon very limited sea creatures, and his influence on the sea creatures he can summon, but he can't really control. Aquaman can full control these creatures. So there's possibility where Namor summons these creatures, and in battle, the creatures can just stop fighting and leave because he's not controlling them. He just brings them, hey, I need to fight, whatever. Whoop, whoop. Bam, they fight, and then they can leave. He doesn't have total control. Aquaman has full control of summoning an entire army of sea life, pulling the Kraken from the depths of the earth, and then it's Namor against an army of monsters and Aquaman. So, out of 3 scenarios, we have land. The 4 scenarios, we have land, we have water, Aquaman trident, water, summoning on both sides. It's just Namor summoning is absolutely destroying, or Aquaman summoning is absolutely destroying Namor summoning. So out of the 4 scenarios, only one of them Namor is taking the dub in. And that is the underwater, straight hands, no weapons, no summoning. Aquaman takes that. So more times than not, Aquaman is taking the dub. He's getting the win. And your winner of the matchup is going to be Aquaman more times than not. Unless you want to just say It's straight underwater hands, which I don't think is very realistic. Aquaman usually has his trident, but he's headed home. He doesn't have the trident. He's coming back from a stroll around the Pacific, and Namor catches him with no weapons. All right, then Namor's got a shot. More times than not. But in generally speaking, Aquaman is beating Namor in a 1-to-1 matchup. So that's going to be all for this episode of Multiverse Matchups. We'll catch you guys next time.